Hi, I haven't done the newscast for quite some time, and today is 10th of March. And let's go news. A lot has happened in the recent days. The main news every day is about the war in Ukraine. And today is no exception. By the way, yesterday, 9th of March, Estonia and in Tallinn, we commemorated the March bombing. So, on 9th of March 1944, the Russian forces during the Second World War, the Russian forces dropped 1,728 bombs and 1,300 like kind of fire bombs or something on Tallinn. So the Tallinn was completely destroyed a lot. There are also some commemorating plaques. Signs on Harju Street, one of the main streets in old town, and they even have refused to build any new buildings on that area just to commemorate this March bombing. And years later, almost the same time in March, from the end of February, Russians invasion of Ukraine. So there is another news that Estonia lacks emergency communication system in case of a war. There is a big article. Take a look. It's on a full page, and they're mainly talking that the giving emergency information through SMS might not be viable. In Soviet times we had sirens, but these systems are obsolete. They have not been kept up. Air raid sirens, this kind of thing one has to consider. This is all afterthoughts. In Estonia, in the Baltic states, we're thinking, okay, what can we do to avoid this kind of a situation which happened in Ukraine? But that does not mean that the risks for us are high. One of the military people in Estonia, persons, he told that this is 0.1%, very low. But we should start preparing for the future, because you never know. Also, there are a lot of not fugitives, but how call it? A lot of refugees coming from both from Ukraine and from Russia, because the economic sanctions and the political sanctions in Russia are also very considerable, and some of the people do not agree. A lot of them do not agree with the Russian state policy. They are also fleeing because both for political and for economic reasons, the Russian economy is crumbling very fast. And in Estonia, we have already accepted 8,000 refugees from Ukraine, everyone from them who is going to receive a residency permit for 1 year, and 44 accommodation establishments all over Estonia. Obviously these are small hotels or big hotels, are paid by the Estonian government to house refugees. This very good. And in the newspapers they are discussing how can we accept them, because a lot of them are women and children. Children need to go to school. A lot of them are already enrolling onto our school system, and luckily children learn languages quite quickly, so it's a good idea for them to start with Estonian language lessons. And a lot of them prefer enrolling into Estonian schools. We still have Russian schools too, but obviously they're saying that they want to get into the Estonian society quicker, integrate into Estonian society, so they're enrolling into Estonian language too. So it's a good idea. Also, maybe for the Ukrainians or for the Russians who are coming here, better take this long-term view that start learning the language now, start integrating. Don't count on that everything in Ukraine will come back to normal soon, because usually temporary situations can last for years and years to come. Even if the war in Ukraine finishes like tomorrow, it will take a lot lot of time to rebuild the former life there. So use this opportunity. 1 year is quite a lot. You can learn. Obviously, you get a lot of support in the beginning, and in the end, after that 1 year, you can apply for the 2-3 more years. You can stay here. I think that's not a problem. Estonian economy can integrate up to 10,000 people. It's no problem. So another journalist went to Ukraine to some hospitals, and he or she is describing how they are managing there in Ukraine. Another interesting article about that Estonians are buying gold, being afraid of a potential war. But actually, that's kind of an interesting thing, that what happens with the gold reserves which Russia at the moment has. And think a little bit about it. Russia has a lot of gold, but gold is not that easy to sell, and if nobody wants to buy it from you, then that's like dead weight. Also, when selling the gold, you need to prove it's not a fake. So even selling the gold is not cheap. It's much more difficult situation, even compared to fiat currency. So think about it. Russians, they even dropped the VAT of selling obviously this gold they have. It's called investment grade 99.9% gold. They don't need to pay VAT because they're trying to sell their central bank gold obviously to their own population. But let's see how it goes. Obviously at some point it will trickle this gold to the global market. Gold most likely to come to Estonia too, because Estonia has been historically a place where a lot of Russian money is laundered. There are a lot of articles on that. You make a search of Danske Bank. Obviously, that was not the only bank which was laundering illegal money from Russia. So obviously, now it will be gold in the near future. Estonians, we are not going to accept residents anymore from Russia and Belarus for obvious reasons. Residency is a program which gives opportunity to use our digital services and to gain access European market. But obviously at the moment Estonia is not that eager to accept any more residents from Russia and Belarus because they are afraid that it's going to be used just for their own purposes of avoiding these sanctions which everybody is imposing on Russia, Belarus. Diesel fuels is getting more expensive, also at normal petrol. I've looked into this diesel fuel thing, and quite often in Estonia we have that kind of rhetoric that when there are good times, then the difference between diesel fuel and petrol is kind of getting smaller. But when there are hard times and people start preferring more economic cars, diesel cars, then the diesel fuel starts rising even more than a normal petrol. And the fuel sellers are always saying, yes, but diesel fuel has more energy, you need. That's why it's more expensive. That's one part, but the other part is that actually it's cheaper to produce diesel. So the process of making diesel fuel is not that expensive as normal fuel. So in that way, it has more energy, but actually it has cheaper than petrol. But that's the reason why they just want to make more profits by increasing the price of diesel fuel more than a normal petrol, because like more of the diesel cars are used for also trucks, tractors, all this kind of equipment which produces some. So, and this consumption is more stable in crisis time, because for example, if I have a car and I'm only using it to go to work or leisure purposes, if the fuel prices rise, I'll use it less, so I'll use less fuel. Okay, that was too deep into diesel fuel. Also there was an article that the Estonian ports are going to close their ports for Russia and Belarus, and it will be around 30% or 6 million euros a year. Very little. They will lose that kind of a market. Thing to discuss. Also about shipping. All the world's big companies are cutting the shipping volumes to and from Russia very fast. It has already fallen only for 6 days. It's fallen in March compared to March last year, more than 40%. So that's it. Interesting article about the situation in Narva. That's quite interesting. Because in Arva a lot of people are coming. This is a territory where we have a lot of Russian population, and obviously a lot of people from Russia are immigrating also to Narva because they have relatives there, both from Ukraine and from Russia. And people have started avoiding talking to difficult topics in that area. We have some Estonian population there too. So nobody wants to kind of initiate any conflict between the different populations, because a lot of those who are living in Narva, they were subject to this propaganda from the Russian channel. But lately Estonians closed those channels, which actually they closed in the operators, the big cable operators. They stopped transmitting those channels, but actually this was short-lived, as there are ways that people are buying some other digital equipment, boxes, and they can watch them already. So that was kind of short-lived, but still maybe will open the eyes some of those people who were too much influenced by the Russian propaganda channels. But actually there is also a problem that you can't substitute with anything, because Estonian ETV has ETV Plus, but it has only few hours a day, like original production. So, but people are watching different kind of movies, some programs just to fill their time, like soap operas and these kind of things. And Estonians are also contemplating buying a lot of those non-political content to fill the void our population. And there is also an interesting thought that all those people living in Estonia with an alien passport, this is kind of a passport which you are a citizen but you don't have all the rights. Estonians were kind of afraid to give everybody citizenship automatic. You had to make an exam to get the Estonian citizenship, but a lot of the older population who were Russian speaking, they kept their Russian passport or took a Russian passport, and they were given an alien passport. So that's called alien, not like the other planet, but not a city kind of thing. So it gives you the right to travel, but I think you cannot vote on parliamentary election. So now there is a discussion that because this population has been loyal to the Estonian government, to us, that now we should think about giving them automatic Estonian citizenship. So I think this will be a smart move. Also, not to have an excuse for Russian government in the future to come and help their own to help. We see how they helped Ukrainian, Russian people living in Ukraine. It's crazy. So this will be a smart move to make. Give all those people citizenship. There are interesting articles also about reusing different kind of equipment. Washing machine, you don't need to buy new, but try to repair, and website repair, YouTube channels. Interesting article. And war. Okay, that's it for today. Like and subscribe, and see you in some other video, real estate video or newscast. Okay, see you.